Hello, and welcome to Get the Word Across. This is the second episode of the series, and again, I've got Lucy with me. Hello.
Hello, hi.
How are you doing, Lucy?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm pretty tired tonight, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll get through it. So,
We will.
this
We
is
will.
a this is a TV show review podcast where we discuss different television shows. But meanwhile, we have different phrases that we have to say and work into the conversation. A few things. This is the same list as last week, so you might hear a few of the same phrases. That is perfectly fine. And yeah, let's get right into it. So for this week, Lucy,
Yes.
we just finished watching the show Wednesday.
Wednesday on a
Which has been
Tuesday.
yes, but this is coming out on a Wednesday, so it works fine.
Ah,
But yeah,
Wednesday on a Wednesday.
yep.
Woo!
um, it's well, I think the trend has nearly died out, but it was trending for a while back in the day.
Yeah. And
And
as you know, we're very on top of trends.
yes,
So we hopped on this immediately.
yeah,
Um
yeah. Anyways,
we liked it before it was cool. We
yeah.
really didn't.
So we watched the first episode of Wednesday,
Yes.
and
And I believe there are 8 episodes in total.
oh wow, okay, yeah. And it's overall, I'd say it's an interesting show.
It's definitely interesting. I was very puzzled for most of it.
Yeah. I've only seen like one of the Addams Family movies, so I'm not too familiar with all.
Okay, that's
But
one more than I have.
yeah.
Literally, all I know about the Addams Family is that whole that thing. You know where they?
Exactly.
I don't even know what that is, but
Yeah.
I just know that that's a thing.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the episode.
Yeah.
You want to get us started off?
I mean, yeah, Wednesday. She's very gifted for sure. And I say that as a polite term. Um, we start off. She's in her old school, I presume, where her brother Pugsley has been put in a locker. Are they
Yep.
lockers?
Yes.
We don't have those in the UK, or at least I never had them in my school. We had lockers, but they were small cubicles with like one little bit in them. If that makes like that you could not fit a human in those things. They were probably a quarter the size of the lockers you see in television.
Yeah. But yeah, Pugsley gets shoved in a locker.
Yeah.
And Wednesday finds him there.
Yeah. And it's really interesting actually the difference between like Wednesday and Pugsley, because Wednesday is like, you know, she's very confident or seems very confident and is not really scared of anyone. I get the sense that people probably wouldn't want to mess with her, even though they still probably would in the end. But yeah, it's interesting because Pugsley seems to be the complete opposite of that. I don't know anything about the Addams Family, as I mentioned. You know, I can kind of imagine the home situation. You know, they probably live in like a big haunted house, and like, I don't know, all the furniture is black, and the table had a black marble top, and you know, all sorts of ooky spooky things going on there.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, he's very different to her.
But yeah. So Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So Wednesday's a darker character. Compared to Pugsley, seems to be happier in general than Wednesday is. Wednesday's like generally the darkest character of the Addams Family. It seems like. So it's how it's like so dark, like the laptop light is the only light in the room, sort of thing. Like it's just so dark, and she doesn't seem to have much like joy in her life. But yeah, she goes to this school, and Pugsley gets pranked, and then she proceeds to get revenge and prank the other people back that did that. And she does that by going into their swim practice and dropping some piranhas in the pool. And I imagine at that moment some of the swim people are like, "Where am I? Why do I have 6 fingers?" That sort of thing. Um, where they're just like, "Oh my gosh, did she just drop piranhas?" So yeah, that's kind of the pretext to all of this, because she gets
Yeah.
expelled for that.
She's like, no one's allowed to torture my brother except me, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which honestly, poor Pugsley, free him. He
Yeah,
did
now he's
nothing wrong.
alone at his school, and who knows what's going on with Pugsley.
Yeah. So then we get the interesting little intro, which I actually said looks kind of like a Doctor Who intro. If anyone listening knows what Doctor Who is, it's quite British, but yeah, it gives Doctor Who intro vibes. Anyway, so they travel to this new school called Nevermore, which is a boarding school. And honestly, I'm not sure why they didn't just send her there in the first place. Maybe she wasn't old enough, whatever. They go in this funny little car, which I guess is their family car. Interestingly, they didn't go by plane, probably because the plane was delayed because it went down. I'm kidding. No, they just went in their car because why not? So yeah, they arrive, I guess. And Wednesday's not very happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really not happy about it. It kind of feels like that moment when first of all, she's like, she gets there and her roommate's all like happy and etc. for an outcast person. So Wednesday kind of feels like the outcast of the outcast. And with that, it's kind of like that thing where she starts getting picked on a bit. Like, imagine like you had just gotten the face where I wanted it, and when my classmate bumped into me and the clay fell over. Like that sort of thing, people picking on her.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where she just wants to, she wants to run away, and that's kind of the whole point of this episode, where she's trying to get away from that school. Meanwhile, on the way there, something we didn't mention at first, the sheriff discovered, the sheriff who's like, "Oh, hands up. You have the right to remain silent. Turn around and face the wall," sort of thing. And they discovered a fourth victim of some brutal murders, which, as of now, they're attributing to a bear. But yeah, Wednesday gets to the school, meets her roommate, and she's not a huge fan of the school. She gets a whole tour and everything. But yeah, what comes next, Lucy?
Yes, I guess we see it's quite a big school. Like, off the top of my head, I'd say the company has 500 employees if the school was a company. Maybe more accurately, I could say 500 students. But we see that they're kind of divided into groups. You've got the furs and the sirens, the scales, they called them, and then something else, and then something else. I forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Fangs. The
Fangs,
the vampires. And then there was a fourth one, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So Wednesday's all, I don't care about that, blah 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 blah. And then she goes to her new room, I guess, which she's sharing with the girl who you mentioned previously. Is her name Enid?
Yep.
Was that it? Okay,
yep. Her name is Enid.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Enid, she had like multiple jobs to make ends meet to get there, and maybe that's why Wednesday didn't go, because the school costs so much. Or
that
might
make sense. That might make sense. But for Wednesday, she enters this room and it looks like you have bigger problems. Because she does not like this room. It's very bright and colourful. Oh my gosh. Hang on, sorry. Coconut. Oh dear.
What happened to Coconut?
She's just gone over the top of her wheel.
Okay.
As in she's climbed on top of the wheel.
Uh-huh.
and literally managed to walk over the top of the whole thing. And she was just about to roll over the front of it, and I was just about to go rescue her before she fell all the way off it. I didn't rescue her in time. She went face first.
Oh no! I hope
sweet
I
baby.
hope it's not like she had a big scar on her knee from falling off her bike as a kid or something like that.
Oh no, I don't think she could ride a bike.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe she needs a treat. Like she needs a snack after that because the poor baby, she clearly
yeah.
I'm sure, you're used to feeding pets. Like I've always fed my dog the dog food that comes in the green bag and my hamster the food that comes in the yellow bag. There's food that I could give her, and I'm gonna actually go and do that right now.
Okay, go ahead. I'll edit the pause out.
Yeah.
So yeah, poor Coconut, but we've resolved that. So
we have resolved it. The hamster is okay.
Back to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she meets her roommate, and her roommate's got this very colorful room. This whole like stained glass window thing.
It's quite cool actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then I think the next thing that happens is the fencing. Do you want to talk a bit about the fencing?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we go to this like big room, and it's like this school is really big, to be honest. Like they have so many like big venues and stuff. It's like a big house. Like, did you see how big their house is?
Yeah.
Yeah, this fencing room is exactly that. It's big as well. And the popular girl who we were introduced to when we were introduced to all the groups, like the scales and all that, she is there, and she's all like, she's fencing and she's doing a good job, and she's all, look at me, mom, she's showing off. So that's an interesting one. And then Wednesday just kind of approaches her dressed in her black fencing outfit. And this little guy called, I forgot his name.
Rowan.
Rowan. He is fencing with this woman, and and she's destroying him basically, and that's when Wednesday shows up, and she challenges the girl to like a fencing battle. And poor Rowan's just there, like, I like turtles. He's such a like outcast as well, kind of like Wednesday but different.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fencing, and Wednesday gets the first point on her. And when Wednesday did that, the girl looked like she was out on the deck of the ship when she saw the first ghost or something like that. So they were fencing, and then they go again. And the popular girl gets a point, and they're like even on points, so they're switching sides. And Wednesday decides to go for like a military challenge or something like that, where they remove their helmets, they take off the tips of the fangs, and first to draw blood win. And even though this girl, what did she say? It was something like I do not eat meat or something like that. But then she wanted to get some color on Wednesday, and Rowan's just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle. I don't know what to do.
Like it is growing cold in there.
Yeah. And they fight, and Wednesday loses. And
which was a shock, because she's been very good at everything until this point. And I guess that kind of symbolizes her like almost meeting her match at this school, like in general, which is interesting to think about from a cinematic perspective. Yeah, it's interesting because Wednesday is very black and white. Like she's basically always dressed black and white. They said there was no color, so that's the fact that she got some color on her. It was like she wasn't. Was that? I'm blanking on the name. A zebra. She's black and white like a zebra. Sorry, I keep forgetting that zebras exist. Yeah. So Wednesday is like no longer zebra style. She has now got red on her, and she goes to get a plaster put on, which is a band-aid to our American listeners. Which it's very unnatural seeing her like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. That's all
After that, she gets abandoned. She leaves, and then I believe it's time for her first therapy session. Like I'll see you tonight at 8 therapy. Woo. Um, and she's driven there by this principal,
Yes.
and the
The school
principal,
principal.
yes, the school principal is like, um, like, okay, I'm gonna sit here in the car and make sure you don't run away. And then
Yeah.
what happens, Lucy?
She runs away.
There's a little between it, but she runs away.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so she is talking to this therapist, and I guess to reuse the analogy you used earlier, she was out on the deck of the ship when she saw the first ghost. She starts remembering her past, and she's getting a little bit stressed. So she departs to the toilet. I don't blame her. And then she tries like climbing out the window, which she does successfully do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She ends up.
Then she heads to this like coffee shop, where she meets this guy, and it's like he seems like I don't know. He seems like he's not the best worker because he's managed to break the coffee machine, and today's the first day he made it to work on time in a while. But she realizes, oh, I speak Italian, I can fix this coffee machine. But she may as well have just said, I have a massive crush on him because I am sensing some chemistry between these guys. I suspect there might be something going on. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she helps them out with the coffee and stuff. And meanwhile, you've got all these people there commenting on it. There's this one person, her handbag looks good with her clothes and stuff like that. And she's just, she's doing that, and then these 3 pilgrims come in. Do you want to tell us what happens with the pilgrims?
Full-on pilgrims. So yeah, the guys, they come in here, and they're like, "This is our booth," and the staff guys, I forget his name, the like server, the guy who works there, he's like, "Oh, we see them every week, so they're regulars." And they want to get rid of this Wednesday girl who's taken their table, so she stands up to them, and she's willing to, I guess, defend herself. She has a good go, and they seem not scared of her, and then she fights all 3 of them at once and wins.
Yeah.
Which is slay, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's when the principal found her after all the ruckus.
That's when the principal found her.
Yep.
And at that exact moment as well, that the sheriff comes in, and he realizes that she's an Addams. And like he knows about the dad, and like he says that the dad is like should be behind bars for murder. Like there's a hefty ransom on him. So it's big business.
Yeah. That happens, and then she goes back to the school and she gets back with her roommate, and eventually it's nighttime. I don't know if there's something between there, but it's just like
she's playing the cello.
Yeah, she's playing the cello. And it's just like this really intense cello thing. And we see a lot of stuff happens, and we don't really understand a lot of it until later in the episode. Yeah. But after that, well, her roommate comes out, and they're just talking about, the stuff that they've dealt with.
Oh yeah, so she reveals that her claws are like, they haven't formed, really.
Yeah, not her claws. She reveals that she can't transform into a werewolf because her roommate's supposed to be a werewolf.
She can't transform into a werewolf.
Yeah, and that's such a pain. Like,
average normal person problems.
Like it's such a but yeah, like it's, and then we find out Wednesday's story about how a few bullies grabbed her and like made her watch them run over her pet scorpion. And
Which was devastating, by the
that
way.
was devastating, and that was the one time she cried. And you know, like, imagine the pain that must be. It's the sort of thing like, oh, there's a big bottle of aspirin in the medicine cabinet, but
aspirin isn't going to heal that one.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad because it's like that one little look into Wednesday. But yeah.
Yeah. So going back to Miss Werewolf Girl, Wednesday does not do a great job at consoling her. She's very much like, meh, we all die alone. And you know, if I was there, I would just say, you know, we just have to wait for things to happen sometimes. You never know when things are going to change. And I think Enid needs to not worry too much.
Yeah, so we'd see that, and she's just, you know, Wednesday have trouble consoling her, and they kind of end up with this mutual respect. Where
yeah, it's almost like they're somewhat working together, but not.
And then Wednesday's like, hey, if you get me on your computer, I can get your single room back, because Wednesday still wants to leave.
But she said she wasn't going to use technology.
Yeah, but
which is like, she's a hypocrite.
She wasn't gonna. No. Anyways, yeah. So she does that. She talks to her coffee shop friend, and they're like, okay, at the carnival, at the harvest festival, he's gonna drive Wednesday to the train station so she can leave. Yeah. Do you want to talk about what happened at the harvest festival?
Yeah, she won a panda.
Yeah, she won a panda, and then she went
home. She won this giant panda, actually. And it's like, it was a really big panda. I want the big panda.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah. So she gets this prize and she's looking at it like, are you sure you don't have anything bigger? Because that is a big panda. And then she decides to go and give it to the sad old lady who was just it was the principal, actually, and she was just kind of sat there looking like she wasn't sure where all the lesbian bars had gone, looking very lost and confused.
Wait.
But at least her handbag matches her clothes perfectly.
Oh.
What?
I never knew that was a phrase in there. Anyways,
what?
I just wasn't expecting you to say that.
Did I work that one in nicely?
These lists were randomly generated, and there are over 100 phrases, and I did not know that was one of them. Yeah, she distracts. No, it's fine. I just did not expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she distracts the principal. She runs off. There are fireworks going off, and all of a sudden she bumps into Rowan. And she sees how Rowan is going to die. And it's in this forest. And Rowan's running off.
So she starts chasing Rowan.
Yeah,
and she's like, Rowan! Mm-hmm. And he's like, God, just shut up already. Like, stop chasing me. And then she keeps going. And so she encounters him in the forest.
Mm-hmm. And then, thinking she was going to save his life, Rowan actually turns on her. And pins her against a tree with his psychic abilities, and is telling her how she's prophesied to destroy the school, and that he has to kill her. And during this whole speech, you know, the sort of thing where like Mary was impressed by the big organ in the church, and he's just like, he's saying all these things, and then boom, this creature comes, this really huge creature comes, and absolutely kills Rowan.
Destroys, decimates.
And we know the creature is the thing doing these murders. And it's just a lot is revealed in the last few minutes of it. Like, it was crazy. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess Wednesday's going to act like it was no big deal, but it was a big deal. So that's an interesting one.
And also,
that was pretty much the end of the episode, I'd say.
Yeah. Specifically, the creature did spare her. It didn't try to kill her or anything. So.
Yes. Which is interesting. And, like, it deliberately spared her. It's not like it didn't see her. It saw her. It didn't kill her.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about the episode in general without like
Nope.
just okay. Yeah, I think that's it then. Um, yeah, so let's do what we did last time, and let's take turns guessing how many phrases the other person has said.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
How many do you think I said?
I'm gonna say you said like 15.
Nope. Higher.
Okay, how many do you think I said?
8.
Higher.
Okay.
You said 20?
Higher.
Really? Oh my gosh. All right. How many do you think for me?
Let's say 12.
Higher.
Oh.
You said 22.
Higher.
Okay. Go ahead.
14.
Lower.
Nah.
You said 24.
Lower. 13.
Yep. And you said 23?
Yep.
Yeah, you said the most phrases for sure.
I won again.
All right, let's just quick go through what our phrases were.
And
if you want to
just
go
before
first.
we do that, to our listeners, I hope you guessed it right. I wonder how many you've spotted.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah. So my first one was she's very gifted. Very easy one for me to work in. I think I said that in like my first sentence about Wednesday. And then I also mentioned about the house. I said the table had a black marble top.
Yep.
A pretty obvious one, I think. I couldn't really get around that. I mentioned, it's a big black house. And then I had another really tricky one, which was the plane was delayed because it was upside down.
I do remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, I said it when they were traveling to the thing. And then I got another tricky one, which was off the top of my head, I'd say the company has 500 employees.
Yep, I remember that.
My next one was, it looks like you have bigger problems.
Okay.
And then when my sweet hamster Coconut started genuinely acting up, I took this opportunity to notice my next prompt, which was, I have always fed my dog the dog food that comes in the green bag. Full disclosure, I do not have a dog. So next one for me was, did you see how big their house is when I was talking about the school? Then my next one was, look at me, Mom, which I talked about the fencing girl. I said she was all, look at me, Mom. I mentioned Rowan was kind of sat there just thinking like, oh, I like turtles, that's how random and weird he is. When you mentioned the blood thing, the drawing blood, I said, it is growing cold in there, which my phrase was, it is growing cold.
Yep.
And then the next thing was, I keep forgetting that zebras exist. She was out on the deck of a ship when she saw the first ghosts was another.
You had that too. Right.
Yeah, you heard me say that. I mentioned about the guy. I said today is the first day he made it to work on time in a while.
Yep.
And then the next one was, I have a massive crush on him. Which I said was what Wednesday
you always end up
saying.
shipping people in this show. I don't know why.
I do. The next one was, we see them every week, which I said about the 3 pilgrims that came in.
Okay. Yep.
The shop guy said that.
I thought I didn't remember him saying that. Yeah.
Reacting to me lying. And then another one I said was, there is a hefty ransom, which is when I talked about the dad. And then I also said, we just have to wait for things to happen sometimes, when we talked about the werewolf transformation, which was my next one. And then I hate scammers, which is where I talked about Wednesday using technology, even though she said she wouldn't. Then the panda one, I said, are you sure you don't have anything bigger? And then I also said the head teacher she wasn't sure all the lesbian bars had gone.
I did not know that would be a phrase. So I was shocked when you said that.
And then it was also, her handbag matches her clothes perfectly, which I said while you were still laughing about the lesbian thing. And then God just shuts up already was when Wednesday was chasing the guy. And then It Was No Big Deal was my last one.
All right, yeah. My phrases were the laptop light was the only light in the room from the beginning.
I spotted that.
Where am I? Why do I have 6 fingers? Also toward the beginning.
I spotted
I
that.
had just gotten the face where I wanted it, and when my classmate bumped into me and the clay fell over. You did that one last time. Yeah, she was out on the deck when she first saw the ghost. That was obvious. I do not eat meat. That was pretty obvious. Then Rowan, I was talking about Rowan. I said I'm in the middle and I don't know what to decide. And then at some point I said I'll see you tonight at 8. And then I think about someone at the cafe. I said her handbag goes with her clothes.
Oh, I had to read that one and I didn't even pick up on that. Good job.
Then with Wednesday and her pet, I'm like, there's a big bottle of aspirin in the medicine cabinet. That one was pretty obvious.
I got that one.
And then Mary was impressed by the big organ in the church. So, yeah, those were my phrases. Good job, Lucy.
Yeah. Good job to you as well, but mainly to me.
All right. Anyway, thank you for listening to Get the Word Across. Get the Word Across is owned and produced by Open Mic Podcast. If you like this episode and want to see more, or if you like this episode and want to see what else Open Mic Podcast has to offer, subscribe to Open Mic Podcast on YouTube and follow Open Mic Podcast on Spotify and Instagram. To come back in 2 weeks from now for the next episode of Get the Word Across, but come back on Saturday for the next episode of Musical Makers. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.